Ladies and gentlemen, this is
Soulcalibur 6.
Oh yeah, that announcer is worth every penny. With a gaming industry that is mostly dominated by shooters and MOBAs, fighting games act more as a refreshing niche product, which, thankfully, is beloved by many. It wasn't until some years ago that the fighting genre received a massive increase in popularity, and that is thanks to some outstanding titles like Injustice, the long-standing Tekken series, Dragon Ball FighterZ, and of course, the granddaddy of them all, Street Fighter. And although these are all fighting games, all of them have something that discerns them from their peers and makes them unique. A distinct selling point that no other game has. Soulcalibur is no slouch in that regard because it has two. The 8-way run system, which lets you walk in every direction you want, and the audacity to bring swords and hammers to a fist fight. This concept was so novel and well executed that people deemed the first Soulcalibur one of the best fighting games ever. Same goes for Soulcalibur 2, which refined the concept and sold approximately 5 million copies. Hey, 5 million was considered to be a major success in 2002. But not one of the Soulcalibur sequels came close to the Magic 5 ever again. Number 4 sold only a little less than 3 million, and the 5th set the bar even lower with just 1.4. The decline of the sales put Project Soul in a dire situation, as Bandai Namco declared that the series will get the axe if the 6th game of the series won't perform well. So let's talk about whether this game has what it takes to keep our souls burning, or to let them go out like a candle in the wind. Let's begin. Soulcalibur 6 is a soft reboot of the series and retells the events of Soulcalibur 2, which take place in the late 16th century. The story revolves around the mystical sword Soul Edge. Legend has it that whoever possesses the sword will gain the power to shape the world as the wielder sees fit. But that legend is a big case of false advertisement, because in reality, the blade possesses people and shapes them into soul-harvesting killing machines. The current holder of the blade is Siegfried, a former knight who, under the influence of the sword, turned into the azure abomination that is known as Nightmare. And once the blade was done warping Siegfried's mind, it started to bleed its evil throughout the world. But still, there remain people who seek the blade. Some for personal gain, some for the good of a whole country. But there are also those who know about the true nature of the sword and seek to destroy it. The different stories of those brave men and women can be experienced in the Chronicle of Souls mode. Each character in this mode gets a little playable campaign that consists of part fighting and part storytelling. The stories are not presented with cutscenes, but with hand-drawn portraits of the characters with full-on voice acting. It's like listening to an audiobook, and for the most part I found it very relaxing to listen to in between the fights. Well, except for those parts where you can hear the ham.
I knew we could count on a priestess from the village of the wind deity!
In addition to that, Soulcalibur 6 features a second story mode called Libra of Souls. At the start of it, you create an original character you then send out into the world to get stronger. In this case, I created myself, because I'm vain like that. Also, I have to give a shout out to the character creator. I am very satisfied with how my alter ego turned out. Moving on. On this journey, your character will meet the cast of Soulcalibur and new characters. As you challenge fighters around the world, you will level up and gather a truckload of weapons you can then modify at a later point in the game. There's also a morality system in the mode that affects the ending and changes some encounters. Nothing groundbreaking, but nice to have. There are even side quests you can fulfill, and every time you decide to explore your surroundings, there's a chance for a random encounter to happen. And even though I'm not a big fan of random encounters, in this context I found the idea very fitting. And here's what I don't like about the single player campaign. Similar to the Chronicle of Souls mode, everything is presented via wall of text, but without voice acting. And provided the quality is okay, I can live with reading a lot. But the story sucks, so feel free to skip this part whenever you like. Okay, yeah, some cutscenes still exist, but they are reserved for very important events. Like introducing Geralt the Witcher as he jumps out of a portal and immediately gets attacked by Samurai Mitsurugi. Sounds crazy, right? But you can't believe me, I was there. I saw it firsthand. In my opinion, the Soulcalibur series is one of the most accessible fighting games out there. It is easy to pick up and button mash your way to victory, but at the same time, dedicated players will find that the combat system is everything but shallow. What makes Soulcalibur so novice-friendly is that it has a way more forgiving combo system than its peers. Inputs get buffered for a short period of time, which in turn makes it easier to execute combo attacks. Also, the reliance on the 8-way run allows Soulcalibur to break away from the traditional fast, medium and slow punch sermon the fighting genre is known for. This system gets replaced by horizontal attacks, vertical attacks, and kicks. But the differences don't end there. Suppose you are with your back to the ring and have no health. Well, no problem. One precise command is all you need to win. It's called a ring out, and as you can tell, this is the stuff that breaks controllers and friendships alike. These fighting mechanics make it possible to create a variety of characters that couldn't be any more different from each other. Nightmare, the big bad of the series, has a lot of range thanks to his humongous sword, and naturally you can see his vertical attacks coming from a mile away. On the other side of the spectrum, there's the rapier-wielding Raphael. While not very powerful, he excels at fast-paced vertical attacks and evasive maneuvers to dictate the flow of battle. And then there's the unofficial Soulcalibur mascot Ivy, who can turn her living sword into a whip to get more range whenever she needs, which makes her a real bitch to deal with regardless where you are. Apart from their personal fighting style, every character can execute guard breaks to punish the super defensive players, or execute a guard impact, which is just a fancy word for parrying and then laying the smackdown on an aggressive player. Soulcalibur also has its own version of the super meter, which is dubbed Soul Gauge. Once you have acquired a level in it, you can use it to boost the strength of your fighter for a short period of time, or use your charge for a critical edge, a super strong attack that plays a character-specific animation and can win you the battle when everything seems lost. There is, however, one brand new mechanic in the game. It is called Reversal Edge, and I can tell already that this will be the saving grace of any newcomer. With a single press of a button, your character will parry almost every attack, and after a short period of time has passed, you and your opponent will be forced to play a mini-game a la rock, paper, scissors. While some will say that this adds a bit of gambling to fighting, it also opens up the possibility for mind games, especially during high-tier online play. Oh yeah, speaking of online matches, they work perfectly. At least I couldn't detect any delays or hard ping problems, so go nuts and carve your way into fighting game history. There are honestly some people who outright state that this game looks bad. Ugly even, with no arguments to back that up. And before I get all defensive and spout curses at these people, I try to understand where exactly they see the ugly. Let's start with the character models. If you ask me, they're beautiful. I get that the models in Injustice and Tekken look more realistic, but please, don't make the mistake and confuse graphics with art style. There are games that go for the gritty and realistic, but Soulcalibur isn't one of those. Here, the models look whimsical, colorful, and cut out of marble for a reason, and that's because the art style is a mix between cartoon and realistic. That way you cannot see the pores on the fighters' faces, but come on, who would look in Ivy's face when you can look at Mitsurugi's wonderfully defined muzzles? And Ivy's other two assets. The different stages are pretty good looking too. A lot of them draw big 3D landscapes that make you wonder where they truly end. Project Soul even thought of little details nobody would look at, but I do. For example, walk through a puddle of water and tiny splashes will follow. I can only assume that the rest of the money went into animation and sound design, because the movement of the characters is smooth as silk and clashing weapons and landing hits is just satisfying. Also, have I mentioned that this game runs on 60 FPS? On all times. Now okay, to be fair, not everything is worth looking at. There's the occasional clipping, especially when you build a custom character, and if my physics teacher taught me anything, it's that leaves should rustle. And these clearly don't. But in Tekken 7, they do. Also, when it comes to facial expressions, games like Injustice 2 did it better. Sophitia really needs to learn how to open up. But even though I can defend the graphics, there are still some minor things the game lacks. It's nothing too dramatic, but I came to love the little smack talk the Injustice people have before they fight. It's a stupid but wonderful addition that gives the characters more credibility. But apart from 1 or 2 lines when you pair up specific people, Soulcalibur 6 has none of that smack talk. However, things look a lot brighter in the music department. The franchise always relied on emotional orchestral music, which is another unique selling point of the game, and I immediately found 2 tracks that I instantly loved. So let me level with you, Soulcalibur doesn't push the envelope when it comes to graphics. But calling this game ugly is just an ill-informed statement, since the motion capturing is still one of the best I've ever seen. Come on, look at Batman's stupid looking jump kick and tell me that looks good. I dare you. The game features a fantastic character creator, which gives me an abundance of gear and choices to work with. The options here are virtually limitless, as you can create the fighter you always dreamed of. And that's regardless of whether that dream was the best you ever had or a nightmare that will keep you awake for a week. The game is not even a week old yet, and so far I've seen and fought against a plethora of video game and comic book characters. Dante from Devil May Cry, friggin' body horror Miss Pac-Man, and this one should be titled Why Am I Not Surprised? Dude, that's the 12th dick I saw today. You are not original. Does it use the Voldo style for extra creepiness? Yes it does. And then we have the usual suspects. An arcade mode to play offline, 2 online modes, casual and ranked, and you can even acquire soul points, which you can then use to buy artwork for the Soulcalibur series, or unlock the last 10% of the character creator that aren't free to use yet. But despite all that, there's still a lot of wasted potential here. Soulcalibur 6 prides itself by saying it has a lot of single player content, which is true, but it's another question if that content is good. The Libra of Souls mode shakes things up by having unique challenges like having an enemy who can only be defeated by a ring out. Or it alters the stage and makes the floor super slippery, which admittedly made me laugh. The game mode itself is fine, but it's not very well supported. Because except for some lousy soul points, it ultimately gives no rewards for me to use in the rest of the game, which makes the whole experience kinda shallow. Even going to level 99 and maxing out the scales of good and evil amounts to nothing. This problem could have been easily fixed by rewarding me with an additional character, some more gear, an arena, well, something. What's even worse is that there's no mode for me to use my level 99 character in. Not even offline. Same goes for the Chronicle mode. While the stories are generally enjoyable, the actual fights in this mode are a joke, because more often than not you will fight stand-in number 21 who doesn't know where the sharp end of his weapon is. It's that easy. And yeah, okay, the roster isn't very big. You have just 20 different characters to play with, but what you have here is quality. Every fighter is truly unique, and trying out these styles will keep you occupied for some time. Having just 20 people here is not the issue. The issue is that I have to pay for additional characters instead of giving me a chance to unlock them somehow. It's not like there weren't any opportunities to make that happen. The only things you can truly unlock in this game are lots and lots of worthless player tags and one measly character called Inferno, which you can't even use online. So in light of all that, I have to deduct major points from this category, and I swear to God, if it weren't for the character creator, I would be royally pissed. Soulcalibur 6's core gameplay is simply a delight, and because of that, I feel confident in saying that this is a great game. But some things around this core don't interlock with the other content, and also it can't quite keep up with the atmospherical standard of other fighting games. Like I said, I missed the smack talk between the fights, and I have to admit that I have seen better arenas, but you can't please them all. The story itself is okay. The motivations of the characters to seek or destroy the Demon Blade are displayed very well, given the contrast that this is a fighting game and storytelling isn't a strong point. But again, this game would have profited immensely from having more little game modes and rewards and interlocking them with the single player aspects. I know that Soulcalibur isn't as combo focused as Street Fighter or Tekken, but what about a trial mode that lets me learn how to use my character effectively so I can at least stand a chance online? How about a Libra of Souls casual mode? And how about bringing some rewards and unlockables back so I feel incentivized to play the single player some more? Such modes and goodies could have acted as a link between single and multiplayer, which is completely missing and in my opinion greatly damages the single player aspect of the game. So here's my final word. If you initially wanted to buy it for the single player experience it praises so much, then do yourself a favor, don't do that. It's not worth the current price tag. However, if you are a fan of the series, play a lot online or with friends on a couch, then I can recommend this game without any hesitation because the core mechanics are just that well implemented. This goes double for anybody who wants to get started with fighting games because of its great accessibility, and hey, who knows? I recently saw this game played at EVO. This might be your chance to make a name for yourself. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna lighten up my mood and look at some ridiculous character models while people are still creating stuff. See ya! Hey there! Thank you for watching till the end, I appreciate it. If you want to see more reviews, let me know by commenting, sharing and subscribing. I am also a very big fan of Hunt Showdown, so if you're interested in the game, check out my gameplay videos too. Bye!